So you've heard all this buzz about ChatGPT and maybe even watched this video that I made about the ways that you can use ChatGPT. But after fumbling around, maybe you're wondering, what's the big deal? It just feels like Google. And out of frustration, you might have even given up on it altogether and just think that it's all a fad that's going to pass. Here's the thing, ChatGPT and AI in general are way better than Google and can do amazing things, but chances are you're probably using it wrong. In this video, we'll explore how to get the most out of ChatGPT, in fact, get exactly what you want out of ChatGPT or AI in general, and cover 5 key considerations for crafting effective prompts. I'll even give you examples of effective and ineffective prompts so that you can get a better idea of how to do this in the future. Now, I could just give you a list of 200 prompts that you could use in your classroom like some other people are doing, but at some point you want to know how to write them yourself so that the possibilities will be endless. I mean, without knowing, practicing, and mastering how to write a good prompt, then ChatGPT is, well, just about as good as Google. Now, one thing that is better than Google is clicking on that like right there, right there, and the subscribe button so that you can follow my journey as I figure out how to incorporate ChatGPT into my teaching, and you can too. So ChatGPT has just an unthinkable amount of knowledge, and it's been trained on a huge amount of text from books, websites, and other sources. It learns patterns and information from all of those sources, and then it uses that information to answer questions and actually have conversations with you. So it actually knows natural language patterns, and it feels like someone is talking with you via chat. It's really interesting. But to get the most out of it, you have to be really precise in terms of how you ask it questions, in terms of what you ask from it. You know how you might ask Siri or some other AI a question and it just takes you to a website? And that can get pretty frustrating because all you want is just an answer. I don't want to ask Siri for what the weather is and have her say, here's what I found on the web. I want her to tell me what the weather is. Luckily, she can do that now. But what ChatGPT does is it actually answers the question by pulling from the entire database that it has been trained on. So instead of sending you somewhere to go figure out the answer yourself, it just gives you the answer. So it's pretty awesome that way. But in the same way that you can't just ask your students, write me an essay. Who knows what you're going to get from that? The same thing goes with ChatGPT or other AI. You have to be very specific and you have to feed it what it wants so that you can get the answer that you want. So the first consideration when writing an AI prompt is clarity and specificity. So as teachers, we totally understand clarity and specificity. So we have to be really specific when we ask our students to do something for us. If you think about the beginning of the school year, we can't just tell students to line up and have it be exactly how we had envisioned. A lot of times we have to tell them, line up in this direction, line up silently, line up against the wall, line up outside. We just have to be really specific because they aren't mind readers. And in the same way, ChatGPT and other AI also not mind readers. So for example, we can tell ChatGPT to write an essay on Pride and Prejudice. Well, it may produce something that is appropriate for a 12th grade class, but maybe not appropriate for an 8th or 9th grade class. So instead, we want to be really specific and say something like, write a persuasive essay on To Kill a Mockingbird and how it's a significant piece of literature, provide specific examples from the text, and use MLA format. Now, if you're that specific, then ChatGPT will definitely give you something more robust if we're, say, in a more advanced class. By providing clear instructions to the AI and clear expectations, we are more likely to receive a product that we are satisfied with and that we're actually looking for. Here's another example. We can tell ChatGPT to write a lesson about plants. So if we're not specific in terms of the grade level or in terms of what about the plants, what concepts that we want the students to learn about plants, it's going to spit out something that might not even be relevant to what we're teaching. But if we say something like, write a lesson for 5th graders about photosynthesis and its importance in terms of the growth of plants, then that's going to be something that will help us and will be more specific to our needs in terms of lesson plans. So just remember, you need to really clarify and specify what it is that you want and what you're asking for when you're putting in a prompt for ChatGPT or any other AI. The next consideration, and what I consider to be a really important one, is context and background. So context and background give the AI important information so that the AI will understand the nuances of the conversation that we're trying to have. It's similar to when you go to a new doctor. Before the doctor can give you any kind of diagnosis or a treatment plan, they're going to want to know your medical history. So you're going to talk about things that have happened to you, any surgeries or medication, or any other family members that happen to have certain illnesses that you may have inherited. It's really important for the doctor to know that before they can accurately figure out what's going on with your body. And similarly, if you go to a therapist, they're going to be, trying to find out information about your past, particularly your childhood, so that they can help support you moving forward. I mean, imagine asking AI or ChatGPT, write a lesson plan for math. What kind of math? What grade level? What concept are you trying to teach? Is it trigonometry, algebra, calculus? Do you see how that's really, really vague? But if you give it some context and some background information, then it's going to produce a better lesson plan. But instead, if you are grade specific, so if I say, write a lesson teaching fourth graders how to write an introduction to a persuasive essay, that's going to be a lot different than asking the AI to write a lesson, the same lesson, but for eighth graders. For eighth graders, it'll be more of a review, and it's going to have more complex concepts in there to refine an introduction, whereas maybe for a third or fourth grader, it'll be more of an introduction for them, because maybe at that point they don't really know how to write one yet. So it's something that is really important in terms of giving it context, giving it grade level, subject level, even a particular concept that you really want the AI to hone in on. Let's say that you wrote in ChatGPT, how can I support a student with special needs? It's the same thing if somebody had asked you that as a teacher. You would want more context and background. You'd want to know more about the student's diagnosis, any challenges, strengths and weaknesses, and that way you can better give suggestions in terms of how to support that student. And the same thing goes for ChatGPT. You can also weave a story if it helps you in terms of writing the prompt. So you can put something like, you are a high school physics teacher. Your students have taken algebra, trigonometry, and some of them have taken pre-calculus, although not all, but nobody has taken formal calculus yet. Teach them about 50% of your students struggle with math in general. Create a differentiated lesson teaching students how to solve the following problem, and then you can input the problem. So do you see how specific I was on that one? For a lot of people, it really helps to paint that picture and to tell ChatGPT or AI who they are, so that as they answer and give you the response that you're looking for, they're doing it as that persona. And then after you get the answer, if it's still not specific enough, or if you want additional supports, you can say that. You can just add to the conversation and say something like, give supporting scaffolds for students with IEPs, or give supporting scaffolds for students who are English learners. So you can keep adding more to the prompt even after it's already given you an answer, so that it can get more and more specific, and that'll end up giving you something that you can really use and that's relevant for your class. Similarly, the next consideration for writing AI prompts is the desired outcome. So stating the expectation and the desired outcome is really important. And I've actually experienced this when I've been playing with ChatGPT. So I can copy and paste a paragraph from a student and say, how can the student improve their writing? And it'll give me an answer that's pretty generic. But if I don't tell them exactly what I'm looking for or which areas of improvement that I want it to grade it on, kind of like giving a rubric, then I just get a really generic answer. So instead of saying, how can the student improve this paragraph? I can say, out of these 5 areas, assess the student's writing, or which 5 areas of improvement could this student improve upon. So you could ask for it to give you 5 criteria, or you could give it 5 criteria, but you want to be really specific about what it is that you want to get out of it. What kind of information are you looking for? And again, if you add some clarity and some specificity, then it'll be even better. So if you say, this is a 7th grade student with a 5th grade reading level, how can the student improve this paragraph? Or you can say, this is a 7th grade student that is reading at a 10th grade level. How can the student improve this paragraph so that it's writing more at a 10th grade level? You might have heard that ChatGPT can level texts for you so that they're written at the reading level for a specific student. So instead of saying, make this text easier to read, you can say, rewrite this text so that it is at a 5th grade level. So being really specific in terms of the desired outcome will make it so that you're not frustrated with GPT. Remember, it's not a mind reader. It wants to work with you and give you what you want, but you have to be really clear about what you want. So for another example, you would give it context. You are a 6th grade teacher. All of your students have Chromebooks. Create a lesson that teaches students how to use Google Docs, and then you would say so that they can do this, this, and this, or they know how to use this tool, or create a lesson that teaches students how to use add-ons or other things like that. So you want to give it context, and then you want to tell them what the desired outcome is. The next consideration for writing AI prompts is structure and formatting. So again, we're trying to make it so that the AI can give us exactly what we're looking for. So you want to tell it how you want the information to be structured and in what format. It can give you lists, step-by-step instructions, or other organized responses. And some of the AI, it can even give you pictures, which is pretty cool. So instead of saying, what are some strategies for differentiating this lesson, you could instead improve the prompts by saying, provide me with 3 research-based strategies to differentiate these lessons. So the model will be able to generate an answer that aligns better with the request, and it's not so generic and we won't be so frustrated with it. Similarly, instead of asking the AI, how does photosynthesis work, you could say, provide a step-by-step explanation on how photosynthesis works for a 5th grade class. So again, we're giving it context, but we're also being specific about the structure and formatting that we want from the AI. Maybe you want it so that it's not just step-by-step instructions, but it actually gives you a paragraph for each step. You can also specify that. And this is also where you can get into asking it to write you a 10-question multiple choice quiz or a 10-question true and false quiz, things like that. You want to give it enough information so it can make sure that the output is exactly what you're looking for. Something that's also really cool is that it can turn something like a script, or it can turn something in one format and change it to another. So I've actually taken the script from a YouTube video, and I don't know if you've ever seen a script with timestamps and it has all of the uhs and ums, and it's more conversational, but it doesn't actually read very well, and it'll actually rewrite it into a blog post. It's actually really cool because it saves me so much time in terms of having to go over the script and then try to summarize it and rewrite it myself. And then you can also change the formats as you go. So let's say that you're asking it to create an outline for a lesson or create an outline for, again, a script. Then you can have it actually flesh out each point on there so that it gives you what to say, or it gives you resources, or it gives you differentiation for each different point. So you just kind of have to play with it and then just really drill down in terms of what else you want it to do after it has produced something for you. So the last consideration for writing an AI prompt is open-endedness. It's kind of the opposite of what I said before in terms of specificity and the desired outcome and structure and formatting. And this allows the AI to actually give you more than you thought that you wanted to know. So instead of saying, what are 3 main causes of climate change, you can actually ask it to discuss potential factors contributing to climate change and their potential impact. So you can play with it both ways. If it gives you something specific, but you want more ideas, then just ask it to discuss, or you can say, give me more ideas, or give me 5 more points to consider. You can make it so that it's not so specific, and that way ChatGPT has an opportunity to just see if there's anything else that you hadn't thought of. It's really good also for brainstorming in that way. Another example would be maybe you put in, what is the significance of the Gettysburg Address? Now you can create a more rich conversation if you ask, how has the Gettysburg Address influenced American society and its values? Do you see how you would get different answers based on each question? I mean, you can actually ask it both, but I'm just suggesting that not only do you give it something super specific, but you also give it an opportunity with an open-ended question maybe following up after that. Now, I have to tell you, I have had to really try and retry and iterate and reiterate constantly to get better results from ChatGPT. And I started probably where you are, where you're just asking questions like you would in Google. But remember, even when you're using Google, you might have learned about like Boolean language and things that you can add to your query to get better results, such as if you want a specific word to show up, then you can use like quotation marks. So it kind of works that way too with ChatGPT and other AI, where you want to be really, really specific. You're not going to use necessarily any of that Boolean language, but you are going to be specific with your words in the same way that you're specific with your students. If you want them to do something, if you want them to behave in a certain way or line up in a certain way, or if you want them to put their name in a certain corner in a certain way, then you have to be specific. And the same thing goes with ChatGPT and AI. It does take some getting used to, but the thing is, you just want to play with it. And like I said in my previous video about ChatGPT, one of the ways that you can play with it if you're not comfortable or if you don't really want to think about school right now is to use it for your personal life and just ask it questions. You can say something like, I'm a busy mom with 3 kids and I have $100 grocery budget. Write a 5-dinner meal plan, including a list of groceries that I need to buy from the grocery store. So it'll do that. Or you can say, I have this, 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 and this in my refrigerator. Give me 5 examples of recipes that I could use with these ingredients, that I can make with these ingredients. So it's just something that I think it's more fun to play with it first in your personal life with things that are going to be useful for you. And then when you're ready to think about school again, or when you are ready to apply it towards your teaching, then you can start playing around with it. And by then you would have practiced prompts using something a little more fun and practical before you apply it to school. Now, if you do just want some quick and easy ideas for how to use ChatGPT in your classroom right away, then be sure to click on this video next, where I talk about just how amazing it is and some really practical ways that you can start using it now.